Hello everyone. Hope you're all enjoying this great Thursday. I have to look and see what day of the week it is. I don't always pay much attention. I thought I would show you what I was working on, and then I thought maybe it would be a good idea to go through a couple of really beginner friendly quilt blocks, because that's why I haven't made a new video. I was trying to think of a quilt block design that pretty much is super easy and the results will amaze you. But one of the things I've been working on is a couple of quilt blocks, and this is what they look like. I had to switch the camera so you could see it, and I'm just calling that one a flowering star, as I think it looks really cool. I've been coming up with a design to make one that's a red, white, and blue star. This one uses 4 of the colors. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4 colors, and then your background, which in this case I have made as white. And then of course it contains 4 of the flying geese, 4 large half square triangles, and then just these corner pieces. And I think and of course the flying geese make the star itself. And I don't know. And then the other one I'm going to, and I just haven't got the idea yet, is this block here, which, let me get the camera a little more focused. I think it looks great, and I just use like a PowerPoint slide, because it allows me to put squares and circles and make a block. And this one I'm going to use black, red, and then I'm not sure about where this yellow is. I'm not sure about what color I want the actual background, but I'm going to use red and black. And then where let me see if I can show you here, where this one is a it's got different colors, and it's like an Indian motif design. It's really nice, but the background, I'm not positive what I'm going to use on it, but that's what I'm working on. Now I'm going to switch the camera, and I'm going to show you real simple. Shouldn't take us very long to make it. Those are the 2 blocks that I'm still designing. I haven't decided the exact colors or anything like that. It's just something different that I was working on. Here is one which I can put together for you really quick. It's super quilting, if you're a beginner, it may not seem simple, but these are easy, fairly fairly forgiving type of blocks that you can put together, and it's not going to concern if they're not exact, because they can be corrected. One of them is this, and this one that I'm going to show you, you need between 20 to 25 blocks. I don't have all my blocks completed. I'm just going to basically show you how they're sewed together. But you make all 25 blocks different, and I don't mean matching the colors. You make them as scrappy as possible, and what you do is you have a center square. There's basically 3 colors you're using. You're using a center square, a light square, and a dark square. So you're going light, medium, and dark. And here's the ones I have so far. See how it's the center square is this big one. Then I used a light in the center, and then my flowery, sorry about that. And that was cool. Yeah, the bird's upside down. Then I did one that looks like this. Every one of my blocks will be different. Then I did one that looks like this. Then this one. This is one of my favorites. This orange one. I think it looks really cool. It's really bright. Then I used the birds again. And with the red. And that one I wanted him up. So the bird's sitting on the top of that little piece of wood. And then I did one like this. But I'm going to have 25 of them. And if you wanted, yeah, you can sew them all into, leave them as is. But there's something different we're going to do with these blocks. And as soon as I get mine done, I'll redo a video, and show you exactly what we're going to be doing. But before I forget, for those of you who are doing, several people are doing like the so-longs, the 12-month so-long. This one is, this one's from the Quilting Life. This is her third block for the month of March. And you can go to, and these patterns are free. You can go there, you can download them. This was January's, and my house is upside down. This was January's with the little house. And again, these blocks are all using the log cabin basic, and you just change the center. And yes, they're very large blocks. I don't want to put that over there. This is the one for February. And then again, this is the one for March. But each month she releases a new one, and this is a mystery quilt. The patterns themselves are free. Then there's also one from the 365 quilts, and those are, let me see if I can get the name of that. I can't even remember her name. Catherine Kerr. She does it, and you can go to Catherine Kerr, and it's actually Catherine, KathrynKerr.teachable.com, and you'll see it, and you just go right on the top of her page. It'll say 365 challenge, and that one's not really a mystery quilt, because at the beginning she shows you what the quilt will look like. What that is a sampler quilt, and the quilt blocks are little tiny. We're talking making half square triangles that are 1.5 inches. Super small. Some of the blocks are really gorgeous, but again, it's not every single block in this quilt is different. However, it's a great area to learn how to do some of the techniques to make some of these quilts. Catherine Kerr does a wonderful job with her tutorials. They're very clear directions. I'm just not, I'm not one for making super tiny. It's hard for me because I can't see that small. So, but again, with hers, all you have to do is you enroll in the course, and you don't really do anything. You just kind of enroll, which means you put your email address in, and I believe it asks you her name, and that's all it asks you. Then it opens up, and right now, and she already releases them for like 3 months. So you have till the end of March if there's any of them you want to go. But right now, what she has available, that every single pattern for every single day. She has January, February, March. You can get a hold of now. And then August, September, October, November, and December. I only know because I opened every one of them and saved them to my computer. And she also has a lot of bonus blocks where you can add those. She does, like I stated earlier, at the very beginning, she does show you what the quilt looks like that these quilts can go into. But it doesn't have to be that way. That's why she just shows you how to put the blocks together, but doesn't ever really show, hair in my face, a specific design. She gives you specifics. There's only parts of the quilt that don't change year after year, and that's the very center, and then a kind of a border within the sample blocks, and then the months that are not available until that month is April, which April 1st, the blocks for April will open up. And it's kind of confusing. It took me a bit to figure out, what is this? Well, you click on it, and then on the left-hand side, it'll say like January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. It goes all the way. And then May will open up in May, June in June, and July. So the only ones you can't get to right now is April, May, June, and July. Those 4 months are not available until their month they're due. As some of the other patterns are from previous years. This sample quilt isn't new. It's done every single year. So if someone wants to make every little block every day, that's fine. Or go through and after you sign up, pick a block you want. Like one of my favorite blocks, after you sign up, you can go to like December 31st. It's a beautiful block. My only thing is they're tiny. They're little tiny blocks. And again, I'll have to fix it. I want to make the block, but I can't do that small. Well, I could, but it doesn't come out real well. Me and the little 1-inch half square triangles, and I'm like, this is not working. So I will change it in the aspect of making it so that I can see the block to be able to do it. And of course that changes her idea. She's got wonderful tutorials, not just making blocks. She's got wonderful tutorials about how to do certain things. So if you're new to quilting or crafting, I would recommend going through the tutorials. You're reading them, or you can go to her YouTube page, and she does go through some of the stuff, questions people have asked. But let's get back to making these specific blocks. And again, very, very user-friendly. There's not much to the block. The size of the blocks is up to you. How I did mine is you decide what you want your center to be. It could be out of scraps, it could be whatever. Your centerpiece will dictate how wide you cut these strips. I mean, you can cut them smaller, but I tried it. I tried a big one, I tried a little one with bigger, and it just didn't look proportionate. So how I came up with what looks proportionate is, like, here's one I'm going to show you. This block with all the hair hanging or strings hanging is a 6-inch block. Okay, yeah, it's kind of cool fabric. I'm not sure what it's called. It was part of all my fat quarters, but it's a cool looking block. And I like it mostly because it's not, I could change it anyway, and it doesn't turn them upside down. All those things. I didn't want to cut a specific pattern out of the fabric. I just cut it. But again, it says 6-inch square. And how I did it is, you got a 6-inch square. You're gonna lose, oh, despise strings. You're gonna lose a quarter. When you sew your 1/2-inch seam, you're gonna lose a quarter on each side. That's a full inch. So this block will be 5 inches when it's sewed on there. And then I took the 5 inches, cut it in half. There's my 2.5-inch strips. And I just cut 4 strips, 2.5 inches wide. These are done from Fat Quarters, and I just cut it. Found the bias, or the main bias. I made sure that this wasn't stretchy this way. You don't want this stretchy. This way it's stretchy, but you don't want this one stretchy. So make sure you cut that correctly. But again, you need 2 additional colors besides this one. You want one lighter and you want one dark. And then you want to make sure that 2 darks don't come together. And then this is the other one, which is kind of cool. This is what the other one looks like, and I just dropped 2 of them. But I cut 4 of them, 4 of these strips. So you have 4 of these strips. You can cut them to size. I don't. And these 4 strips will be the outside piece, which is where I have this red one. And that's why I did this, so you could see. This is where this piece will be the outside. And then this lighter color will be on the inside. And it's kind of I don't know what it is. It's a bluish green color. It's aqua, but in the camera, and it's got those little dots on it. It looks kind of cool. They're kind of, it's like they're fading off because the fabric, they aren't straight. See? And it reminded me of water drops, like in a fish tank, where they just kind of float when the water hits like a pool of water. They just kind of float off, and you'll see some, but little water droplets. So what you do with this, and I won't go through all the steps. I just wanted you to understand what I do. Okay, so what you're going to do, pick whichever side you're going to sew on. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to pause the camera real quick and put it to my sewing machine. Okay, and yes, I will explain what that other one is that I said is user-friendly. Oh, let me see if I can get this. Nope, you need to come this way. Okay, hopefully that light off that light just reflects really bright on there. But again, we're going to take, you got the 6-inch, and then whatever one you decided will go next. Again, I don't cut it. I don't measure it exact. But I just want 1, not 2. I guess there's only 2. And you're going to take it, and remember, always remember on this is hard to see. You're going to take it and always go a little bit over. So you can see I'm a little bit over on this side. And again, it doesn't matter which side you start. You're going to sew all the way to the end. My scissors are way over there. You don't have to measure it, or you can. What I find is if I measure, sometimes I'm off, and then I've just wasted a strip. And so I just cut it off without, I just cut both sides off, and it hangs out a little bit. That gives me wiggle room in case my seams don't. See? But you just want it straight. Then you're going to do 1/2-inch seam. When I start sewing, I always back stitch at the beginning and at the end. and this will be real quick one. You're going to flip it up, and again, this will be real quick. Then you're going to sew, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, and then you'll sew the next strip. You're going to sew onto here, and you're going to continue around, and then you're going to do the same thing with the dark fabric. And you got to remember, this is where you started, so when you put the dark fabric on, you're going to sew, because you're going to have, let me get one of the other pieces so I don't confuse anybody. So you're going to basically have something that looks like this, and the bottom will be there, of course. So when you put your dark fabric on, you're going to go all the way on this side, all the way across, and you're just making a square, just like this, a square inside of a square. What happens with those, like I said, again, if somebody wants to, they could sew them together. This is a particular case they will be sewed together, but they won't be. What's going to happen with these squares, when I get all my 25 blocks, these blocks will be cut in half. They'll be cut in half this way, and then in this way. So each piece will end up being a square, and then you put them together into a really cool quilt. But what I wanted to show everybody, now this one is, most everybody is making the half square triangles, which most people call them HSTs, and I know some of the shortcut language for someone that's especially new, they're going, huh, whatever, yeah, what is that? Well, half square triangles most people refer to as HST, which is half square triangle. There are numerous ways to make them, and I thought, okay, my favorite way, come up with a design of using my favorite way to make half square triangles and make a star out of them. So my favorite way to make half square triangles is 4 at a time, mostly because it's so quick. You can make them 2 at a time. This is a particular design that you need 4 identical in every way half square triangles. It don't matter whether they're wonky, they just need to be identical. Yes, I have scrappy nails, just like I like scrappy. This is what you get, and what I'm going to show you now, as long as it stays on my design board, because this thing's there, this is not attached. Let me go down. I'm gonna pause this a second, move my camera so that I can show you what this looks. Well, actually, no, I can do it this way. There you go. Now you can see it's a big one, and check out the star. But you need 4 different colors, and then white. So there's a total of 5 colors you need, and then you need the 4 main colors, and then your background. In this case, I chose white, but it makes a really cool looking star, and it's all made with half square triangles, but you make them 4 at a time. That's why, and I'm going to show you how to do that, since I don't want to make anybody dizzy by moving too fast. But what I did is I took 4 colors. These are just colors, and there's 4 of them. I got purple, a blue, a pink, and a green. What I did is I cut, I'm just going to use this one because it's actually not sewed together or anything, because I wanted to save a couple so that I could show you how it's done. I took and cut a 5-inch or 6-inch, these are 6-inch squares. I did one out of my color and then one out of white. And when you make them, you put always right sides together. Well, not always, sometimes you don't, but this particular case, you put right sides together and you sew 1/4 of an inch all the way around. You're going to sew all the way around 1/4 of an inch. You don't have to turn, like leave the needle down and turn. I just sew off. And so it's gonna look like this. You can if you want, if that feels more. But it just looks like this. I just sew. I always back stitch, or however a lot of people do. I just sew. I sew off the end, lift the presser foot, I pull a little bit, and it doesn't matter whether the needle's down or up. If you pull just a tiny bit, what that's going to do is it take some of the tension off of the thread, and then you don't get that rat thingy that sometimes happens on the end of the bobbin. So you're just going to go all the way around. Hopefully my machine, and again, I just sew right off. Right off the end I sew. I just lift up, go a little bit. And what this is also going to do is it's going to put all your strings on the same side of the fabric. And then I back stitch and cut my strings off, however you see, and you have something like this. It isn't very often that I do starch things, but this is a particular case. I do recommend starching, and as you can see, this thing is starched. It does a little bit because of half-star quintilles, because of HSTs. You don't want them going super wonky. So again, we have it sewed all the way around. You can see my stitches. What you're going to do then is you're going to cut corner to corner here and across this way. Let me do that really quick with this one. It doesn't have to be, it's not going to hurt anything if it's not exact. It's one of those things. You just want to get it corner to corner. And I changed my blade yesterday and it's already dull. Brand new blade. Goodness. I'm going to go back to the titanium ones. They do seem to last a lot better than these. This is just the regular ones. The titanium blade lasted a lot longer, which I didn't realize it had. Okay. Then when you cut those corner to corner, you end up with 4 half-square triangles. When you iron these half-square triangles, you open them up when they're, and you don't, I usually just kind of press these, and again, these have been starched, so they're a little stiff, and I just finger press these. Then you don't take the iron, you just kind of press it on there. Thus the concept of pressing. So after you get all your 4 from each color, then you're just going to, this shouldn't fall off, but there we go. Now you can actually see it a little better. See how for each color? Then you just need to design, just need to figure out where you want your colors. Let me see if I can use my, it's not very good. You can, I know what a pencil works. Like me, I have the 4 pink ones on the center, or in the corners, because I think it looks cool. And then you just have to remember what you're doing is the opposites. So you have your purple there, and then your other colors, they go like this, and then your other colors go like this. It kind of, in some ways, reminds me of railroad tracks, like a railroad track crossing, even though it is a star. And it is a star that, I mean, if someone really wanted to, you could make the flying geese. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 flying geese. And you could still do it with the different colors. It's not going to hurt anything. You would just have to figure out what size your little corner piece needs to be. When you're doing 4 at a time on half square triangles, it's the calculations are, I have a sheet that I wrote down and deal. Whereas if you do only 2 at a time on your half square triangles, there's not really much calculations. You just have to look at what size you want your half square triangle to be, and then add 1 inch. That extra 1 inch is going to tell you how big your square needs to be. To be honest, I don't know how big these are, because I wasn't really worried about what size they are. And let's see if I was right. 4 inches. So I started with a 6-inch square, cut it, and then you lose 2 inches, because this is a 4-inch half square triangle now. So you just have to be aware, and then I got to remember which way this goes. There we go. So, but that's what I'm working on now, and my voice is going. I am going to do another live, but I have to wait until hopefully the weather chills, because sometimes it goes in and out. Like for the last couple of days, we've had wind gusts between 30 and 60 miles an hour. So, and the only reason I know is on this, I have a big window. It's the only one in this room, and unfortunately it just doesn't open. I wish it did. But there's a it's like a cloth. It's like a screen cloth. It's not that clean stuff, but it's a screen cloth. And I attached it to the outside of the window, because the sun is brutal in that window. It's brutal. And then under it I put lattice. It's I don't know whether I could show you or not without making you really dizzy. Let me try this. Ooh, let go of my camera. And you're gonna go sideways, sorry. But that's what I did on the outside, see? Yeah, I collect antique, I collect those little cars. Some of them are quite old. And then that's a deer, but that's what I did. And it keeps the sun away from, it's not so bad. Aside from, I don't want this room to be pitch black. And then, as you can see, if some of you seen the other movie, some of my half square triangle, or my my fabric up there, I'm going through it because I'm figuring out what designs I can use that are a little more, not necessarily advanced blocks, but that anybody can do, even if you're brand new to quilting. Because I think sometimes when we've been quilting for years and years and years, like I was hand quilting when I was 5, so 55 years ago I started sewing. So sometimes I think we forget where we come from, that at one time we were all beginners. We were all there. And I think that sometimes that is forgotten, especially in some of the patterns that get put out. They're put out as if the person doing them already knows what that means, and it shouldn't be that way. I do have the pattern that I wrote for another block I'm doing. I wrote the pattern based on someone that has never made a quilt block before, and because I don't like following patterns. They're hard for me to follow because I do my own thing. And so it's like, well, if I make a pattern based on a person that's new, then somebody that's not new can still do the quilt block their own way. I mean, quilt blocks, there is no right or wrong. It just doesn't exist. And sometimes it's a matter of, well, how do I make a quilt block the size I want it to? Nothing tells me. And like I said, it's, if you want to make 2 half square triangles at a time, you just need to figure out how big you want that half square triangle once it's cut apart, and then add an inch, and that will like if you want a 3-inch half square triangle, your square that you're cutting the 2 triangles out of will be a 4-inch square. Or look at it this way. Okay, I have a 5-inch square. Well, how big will my half square triangles be? Well, 5-inch minus 1, your half square triangles would be 4. That's how it's figured. It figures out a little differently when you're making 4 at a time or 8 at a time. I don't enjoy making 8 at a time because you either have to use a really big square, because when you're making 8 at a time and you use a small starting square, they get little tiny, and I just don't like. I've done it. I made a tiny little quilt because I wanted to see, and it's nothing but 1.5 inch and some 1 half square triangles, and I don't want to do that again. They're just too small, and the smaller they are, the easier it is to make things not go like they're supposed to, and you can see, as I call them, boo-boos or whatever, bloopers. You can see the things that's not supposed to be there easier, and it's easier to hide different, wonky stuff. It's easier to hide the bigger the block. It's easier to hide. And that's also the reason I like different designs and stuff in the fabric, because you can hide boo-boos. No, I still haven't put that California King quilt back together. It's up there, and no, I put it together, took it apart because I had things inside out and upside down, started to put it back together, and I just lost the, I guess, the oomph of doing it. So I have to decide what I'm going to do with it. It's all just stacked. All those blocks are stacked up there, and it's just sitting there. So I guess you can say I have a unfinished block, and either that or I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because it just, I look at it, I go to pick up the blocks, and I go, no, I've taken you apart twice now because I didn't like the way you looked. And the hardest part was that entire California King quilt was quilted, and it had the back on it sandwiched, and when I went to put the binding on, I realized it was I had the blocks flip-flopped, to where the back was showing in the front and the front was showing in the back, and I'm like, this is not going to work. And I almost did. I almost left it like that, and I thought, no, there's no doubt this is a boo-boo and a big one. So I took all the quilting out. And I think that's why, because all that work that went into it, I just can't get the umption to redo it again. I don't know how noisy that weather is, but we have about 45 to 50 mile an hour winds, and you can hear it outside. And where that sunscreen, that shade screen is, it's moving in and out, and the rain is coming down. So, and that's fine, because we needed the rain. This is Arizona, we need the rain. But again, thank you everyone for listening, and please hit the like button and subscribe. And I really appreciate all the great channels out there. You've been an inspiration to me to help me do these videos and get me back out there and say, okay, just do them, and I love it. It's great. There's so many names. There's not, you just have been all just wonderful. So again, everyone, please remain positive. Positivity creates positivity, and we have the greatest community ever. It's to think everybody from basically all over the world comes together, and we can create something together. As if you go to different channels, there's several that are doing sew togethers, and it's amazing to see they're both sewing the same thing and getting done at the same time. And I'm like, to just sit and watch them, because sometimes I'll join the channels, I won't say anything, I just sit there and watch and listen. Sometimes that's the easiest way to learn new things, is simply listening. And it's always great, because it's not, the channel isn't just sit there and watch somebody sew, because that's really I don't know, that's kind of like watching paint dry. But they're all wonderful. They talk, and it may talk about from everything from food. Oh yeah, I started this, and it's like, how did we go from sewing to food and then back to, but it's amazing, because it shows what everyday life is. This is what we do. We don't just constantly sit there like a bunch of robots and sew. We talk, and sometimes we talk to ourselves, and we answer ourselves, and oh wait, I'm live, I can't be doing that. And like me, I've got some serious allergies right now, as you can say. Sorry, my voice is going in and out, the lovely rain. But again, thank you everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.